I'd like to turn to Martin Brechbiel, MMR, who may or may not be able to have a great connection tonight due to weather. But Martin, I appreciate you being here and appreciate the timing that you let me know about the weather potential problem. But thanks for being here.
We're in between waves of storms, so right now it's a clear sky, but so much for the weather report. It was pitchforks and horny toads earlier. So let's see if we can get this to behave. Come on, there it goes. So another one of the cars I've built in the last 18 months, 16 months. What month is it? It's not June yet. 15 months. Okay, so we're still got a bunch of these left over. I think I'm actually going to use one this time. Problem is I just build another handful of them anyhow. I did build that one extra base flat just to show people how I do those truss rods. So I've got more than 8, and I probably have 10 or 12 sitting around now. Very simple. We'll start off with not one of those, apparently. After all, we have scribe siding facing up on the two ends, and facing not at all in the middle. It's not scribe siding, so I'm not going to have the scribe siding on the underside of this car. I guess I was feeling lazy or something this day. The ends, well, just some Grant Line doors that I had laying around, some scribe siding, cut some holes out, drop them in, add some framing around it. You got to be careful doing this. These love to break right here or right here, and I probably did break one. They do break very easily, but it's not a big deal. You just put some glue on it, put it back together, lay it flat on your glass surface, come back in a couple hours, it's fine. I'm sure you've got something else to do. That's why I have 4 or 5 projects going at any one time. I'm not going to sit around and watch the glue dry or paint dry or the grass grow. Okay, so a piece of roof stock. Well, that's the length of this car on the inside at least. And we just glue this all up using that same Titebond glue we just saw from Ted. Trying to keep it as square as you can. I've already added a little end cap on the end here. I'm not quite sure why I did that, because I think it came off later anyhow. Sometimes I'm not quite sure what it is I'm building until I actually get to the very end. It's been known to happen. And magically, we have sides that go all the way down to the very end. The ends have a coat of Pullman green on it. I'm pretty sure. Some trim work that was added after the fact. And magically, the roof's the full length of the frame now. And these are just hanging here almost in space. What goes on here is this letter board first, which then holds this end piece on in between the two. And these just sort of drop in, butt jointed up against this. Lousy as a joint that may be, I did it anyhow. I probably used a combination of goo and CA on the end and Titebond on the wood-to-wood joints out here where it's not end grain. Holes cut out for windows. I'm not sure I remember what the windows were. We're going to find out. I hadn't even done the other end yet. So you can see from the top, this is just pieced together with 4x stock. I'm not sure what width it is. It's whatever added up to being something close to make it from one end to the other end. I've got 4x stock and 4x10 to 4x24 in O scale. So it's mix and match as you need it, or just cut your own. It's not hard to do, really. And you can see from underneath, it's just looks like individual boards now, as opposed to a blank sheet of basswood. There's that end piece I added. I guess I added that because I just thought it would give these pieces something to rest on better. And of course, these are the 3 end marks. There's the center, which is where the screws go for the KD coupler, or these 2, which are the beams that are going to go here eventually, which could also be for the KD coupler. Well, I had to close up the end, so we had the railings on the end of the wall by the doors. Strangely enough, this door casting does not have a doorknob. I think I came back and actually drilled a hole and put a pin in there. This is just 028 steel wire. This is brass angle, brass box stock that had part of the bottom cut off with the Dremel. Line it all up. This is actually attached at the bottom with goo and CA. And then it's just drilled and soldered in place. Much to my own surprise, I didn't set my own car on fire doing that, but I don't claim to have any great skills with soldering with a small torch, but I haven't set off any fires yet. I'm working on it though. Give me time. So as I said, I actually drilled through and ran these through. It's actually pretty strong as a result. It's a pretty stiff unit. Okay, so lots going on here. Two different shots from two different places at the same time. An entire underbody has been installed. We've got a K-brake, levers, hangers, platforms, queen posts up on the needle beams. For some reason, I got really, really industrious and actually put in nut bolt and washer castings holding the needle beams down. Turnbuckles aren't in place yet. They're just floating around on the silk thread. A piece of rectangle box stock cut, sliced off, drilled through to hold the brake wheel. A little bit of chain going to some wire here. I like to have a little bit of chain, just wrap it around the brake staff a few times. It kind of sags nicely. It gives a nice little effect, you can see. You can see the 3/64 tubing I use here as a union joint to connect the brass air hose to the airlines. I didn't solder those together. I soldered the part onto the tubing, but not onto the piece of 33 thousandths wire. Okay, up here, I added a door. Well, I decided, well, the door is not going to open, so why cut open a hole? Just build right on top of the flat surface. It's a good stable surface. It'll stay right where I put it. Got some door supports. I had a pack of these left over from Precision Scale. These are probably 3x4s. 3x4s are an interesting size. They fit into a lot of things surprisingly well. They fit into this piece of Z molding wood up here, which this 1/32nd piece of scribe siding slides on actually. If I had glued it in place, you could slide it through. More steel wire, lots more nut bolt washer castings, just about everywhere I could find a place that made sense to put them. Something has to hold this thing together more than glue. Okay, so lots going on again. Slap on a lot of paint. This is actually Floquil Maroon. I actually had a bottle left over. One of the old square bottles. Tells you how old it is. It's probably almost as old as I am. What I learned from using it is I dare not use it in the house again because the fumes are such that it emptied out the house and I got yelled at. Some roof walk supports, some resin roof walk supports on the middle. And I don't think the roof coating is actually on it yet. But it's kind of nice to stop and paint sometimes because it'll reveal things you forgot or errors you've made or just the way things don't look quite right. The paint will show it off for you. Sort of like the camera taking a picture every time. It will not lie to you or lie for you. It will criticize you in the most harsh way possible. Okay. 2 giant steps forward. Now there's a roof on. And this is my usual overlapping 50% napkin material, which I have a mountain of from Panera. Used to be Starbucks many years ago, but I didn't like the texture or the pattern in it. The Panera just appeals to me more, and I like their sandwiches. So it's a win-win all around. These are 3x12s, painted roof brown, a brass casting as opposed to my usual white metal casting, the Precision Scale one. And some grabs here. I've added ladders here at both ends. I'm sure there's another picture that'll show better end information. There we are. So we've got a old brass ladder, stamped brass ladder, pre-painted, mounted into place. Not much else here to see. And I think this is the final version of it. These are actually, I think, S-scale windows. They just seem to be the right window for the job. So I thought, well, I've got to find a way to get rid of some things. And part of the objective of the past year and a half of building cars was not only to have some fun building whatever the heck I felt like, but it was also to use up some things that are just laying around the shop gathering dust. And this, I said, well, here's two nice windows. Well, four of them, two on each side. I can make that whole pack of windows go away with this car. I consider that a roaring success right there for this car. And some different views of the same car. Somehow these arch bar truck side frames got brown. Must have been a pair I bought that were pre-painted, because I rarely paint those. It's Delrin and it doesn't paint very well generally. And you can see the end here. There's the brake wheel. There's that little ratchet and pawl casting I like to put in. The end truss rod bolts. Your air hose. And I think this should wrap everything up if we're lucky. Nope. Another view of the underside. Yeah, turnbuckles now are in place, and this whole thing is stained. After these are painted, splash some black, steam black on various parts. Comes back, and I hit it with Minwax Dark Walnut. I have another Minwax, but I don't know what it is because it's the leftovers of every can I've used for the last 20 years poured into one bottle. And as I kill a can, I pour it into that bottle and use it. So it's the mystery Minwax mix. And it gets used every now and then for just sealing things up or changing the appearance of raw wood. One of the things that's really terrible about basswood is it's incredibly well polished and pretty. And it's pretty rare a railroad car is that pretty. And that is the last slide. So we're done for the night. And I'm ready for whatever questions anybody might want to throw at me. And I'll hit the stop share button.
Martin, a quickie for you. Is that representing a caboose type structure, an MW car? So I noticed there were no end stairs or stirrups or ladders or access to the platform.
Yeah, that car actually has, well, a close to a prototype. That actually started off as a 2-foot gauge car, a picture of a 2-foot gauge car, a Sandy River car. And I thought, yeah, I'd like to have one of those in standard gauge. So I left the steps off. And I probably should have put them back on. But it would be a maintenance away car or whatever else I feel like lettering at this point, since I didn't letter it yet.
Well, having visited Maine on a number of occasions, there's a prototype for everything up there.
Oh yeah. Well, if it were a traction car, I would guarantee you there's definitely a prototype for it. The craziest, funkiest, weirdest cars I've ever seen have been almost exclusively in the traction category. Some of the neatest home built things I've ever seen, and every now and then I get motivated enough to tackle one just for the fun of it all.
Martin, I have a question. It was obviously intentional that you left the end walls Pullman green and the side walls local maroon, and I'd like to know I would like to know what was going on in your mind when you did that.
Oh, historically, most of my railroad cars for my Cumberland Valley branch line were painted with that Pullman green end. Not maroon sides, however, they were painted. What is the last couple of bottles I got from Floquil were called Caboose, not Caboose Red, just Caboose. But if you cross-reference the numbers on the bottle, that's actually Delaware and Hudson Caboose. So I used to use Delaware and Hudson Caboose on the sides of every car, and Pullman green on the ends. Christmassy, you know. It was interesting, and sometimes I still go back to it, or a variation of it. But I saw the bottle of maroon, and I thought, that'll be interesting. That'll stand out a little bit. you don't see that color just floating around everywhere.
Martin, I have a question. Larry McDonald here. On the roof stock, the preformed roof stock you use,
Yeah.
why not just extend that right out to the end of the car rather than form another 2 sections of roof at either end of it?
Could have. I just like having the hollow roof section. I just like the appearance of it. It's
Okay.
just a personal preference. May also have been, it was a piece that I just had that was about the right size. And I decided, well, I'm not going to build a car that short, but I could stretch it a little bit and make it a little longer.
Okay, thank you.
Great job, Martin. Thank you so much.